tubes. So that this is it, gang. It just, if it feels different, it's like we're broadcasting across the whole internets and such.
Yeah.
And I'm looking for Mr. Mike Langworthy. Get you shipped in, my friend. We are, I believe, live on
and I still can't get it.
YouTube. VIP seating located down front, Carol. One of the two is wearing a mask.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you to socially do your best. Feel free to lobby your favorite senator if you can while you're down in front. We'll take a look at balcony seating. Welcome, Craig Abramson. I believe you have a seat in the balcony. Nick, this is Mike's family from Michigan.
Hi.
Up every week, but they won't wear a mask. So enjoy.
And I don't recommend telling them to wear a mask because they will be armed.
Right. Armed with razor sharp wit, just like you, Mike.
And guns.
Tonight is a very special ApocaLips Comedy Show, and without further ado, we should give a nice welcome to your hosts, Chuck Roy and Mike Langworthy. There's
we are in avatar form.
Mike, we have a hot crowd
I'm
here.
so embarrassed. Chuck, I can't let the show go any further without pointing out that apparently I seem to have gotten maybe one too many glasses of champagne because I've walked.
No way, Mike. Very special episode.
Once again, I walked out of the house still holding my Golden Globe Award.
Mike, one's too many and 1,000 isn't enough.
Yes. Thank you very much, Bill W. And I just feel embarrassed that, I mean, yes, I'm an award-winning writer.
Right.
Yes, I've been fantastically successful. But it doesn't make me better than anybody else who's on the show.
No, and thanks to
that's not what makes me better than anybody else.
Thanks to your hard.
Oh, it's other things.
Mike,
yes, other things. Yes, Chuck.
We have a new sponsor tonight. It's just peace and quiet. They were thrilled.
They've been our sponsor since Wednesday.
Yes.
Did anybody guess why?
Did you say Mike has a new sponsor? I'm having trouble following.
Right. His other.
No, I'm not in that program.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you're fine, right, Mike? You're just fine.
I don't need any help. I can quit anytime I want to, Ned. I just choose not to.
Well, thanks for bringing your Golden Globe and wearing your good monocle tonight. We'll take folks up to, here's the Colorado Comedy Show's virtual event center. This is our writing room where Mike and I just try to put together the show. And today,
well, apparently the people in the graphics department were having a meeting up there, and they left
speak
some
graphically,
hideous thing in the window, ruining the view of the Rocky Mountains.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mike. I think that's a fragile sort of view.
It's a little shady.
Right. You got to lace up them
It's a
legs.
lamp unto my feet is what it is.
Right, right. You
or a severed limb.
Sanders.
Yeah,
Yep, exactly. And that's a lamp that was actually made by Robert Kennedy out of Marilyn Monroe's actual leg.
It's a collector's item, and also
what is it exactly,
Mike? That happens to be my Kennedy Center Award for innovative teaching.
Are you talking about just any Kennedy, or is it the Kennedy family? Hey, let's go skiing. Ow, family.
Right. Nope. Like water under the bridge, Kennedys, my friend.
We'll start the parade an hour late. What are they going to do? Shoot me?
Right.
Cut through the
back
Kennedy
seat in the convertible, and we'll take a back seat to nobody.
Let's
Mike,
cut through the kitchen. It's faster, Kennedys. Those guys.
we started today's show. It's a very special apocalypse, loaded full of very special guests, and so I wanted to start the show at this place, which is Mike's grade school castle. The family asked him to stay while he was studying during grade school.
They asked me to stay in the sense of tying me up and putting me
locked you in the tower. What can you say?
second
Mike?
tower from the left.
That's an ivory tower, I think, Mike, isn't it?
No, that's where I work.
okay.
Mike, You were close. You were close, Ned.
True.
Mike,
That was a
what it like-
punchline away from a joke, Ned.
It had a joke-like feel to it.
It did. The rhythm was perfect. I'm sorry, Chuck, what were you saying?
Mike, I was asking about, I was going to try and throw you a lifeline and ask you to tell the kids about where you stayed in the castle. Where did your parents put you up? And, you know, any memories you'd like to share?
Well, they
before-
put me up by my thumbs, to answer your question directly.
Right.
And chained to a bed frame in the cupola looking tower on the extreme left up there.
Well,
On display for the other villagers in case
Chuck,
anybody.
do you want to do Francis Ford Coppola or should I?
thank
I was
you.
hoping
You
that's where
should.
Nikki lived now.
Right. Joke over. And Mike, you're hanging people by their thumbnails is now a new
I'm
Airbnb
talking.
experience that you can
Oh,
enjoy
dear.
right at this castle. So, folks, book now if
Yes,
you're
absolutely.
in the middle.
Oh, my.
Oh,
Mike, I thought I'd take us here. This is a very special place. This is Rye Beach in Rye, New Hampshire. These rocks are amazing to me, Mike. This is where I used to go to contemplate coming out of the closet. So
really?
I went, no shit, I went right here to Rye Beach and realized just
You know,
how gay
Chuck,
I was. And,
I don't want to be an iconoclast or anything.
too late,
I would
Mike.
say if you would just let people know that you owned that lamp, you wouldn't have had to come out to them.
Right,
That's a good point. That's kind of true.
I gotta say, on screen is a bit of an icon clash.
Bernie.
Right. So this is one special place I thought I'd take us to, and then I thought I'd bring us over to here's the other Rye Beach. This one WRY.
That's where I get most of my material.
Right, oceans of humor for Mike from
Absolutely.
here, and
Bernie, there's Bernie again, guarding his
Where?
sand dirty.
I don't see him. Where?
right.
Oh my God!
Right there in the middle of
talent
the
comes in,
sand.
Seamus.
Mike, it's a very special show. So I've counted on less silliness and more comedians. Who knew? And,
I'm in the
what
wrong
I've
place.
got for us, Mike,
I don't
is-
wanted to run that by me first.
right. I've got a very special lineup of super talented comedians. This first young lady, we met on your show Monday nights. The show is called Open Mic, a great show this past Monday. And I believe her introduction is still ongoing from
Yes.
Monday night all the way to today. So one,
Called Showa.
yeah, one can say
That's the second time I've laughed at Showa.
right. Well, without further ado, and probably with a little more of an introduction, would you please all welcome to a very special ApocaLips, the very funny Jessica Misra, ladies.
Yay!
Hey, what's up, everyone? Wow, I'm not used to such a short intro. I wasn't ready.
Surprise!
For those of you that don't know, I do Mike's show, and it takes him a long time to intro me. That's the inside joke. I thought I'd explain it because jokes are funnier when you explain them. Am I right, guys?
Absolutely.
Like
Do we love
footnote.
it? Do we love it? All right, very
When you
cool.
get to Mike's age, it takes a little longer.
If at all.
Kidding.
Man, the incomparable Ned Rice. So happy to have him here. I actually got very excited to see him here.
Oh, no. You need to get out.
In that way.
Hey guys, all right. This is my time. This is my moment. All right. Been practicing all day for it. Guys, I did the DARE program growing up. Any daredevils in the crowd?
Whoa.
Yeah, all right,
Whoa.
cool. Yeah, I know. I'm very special. Daredevil is like a fun term I came up with for someone who started doing hard drugs after the DARE program. In the program, they used to make us wear these beer goggles that would mimic what it was like to be drunk, and it was just so fun. parts of drinking. They might as well include in the PowerPoint. Side effects include confidence and the ability to make new friends anywhere. He used to make us practice walking straight lines like they were training us for DUIs. No, they'd say things like, just tell the cop you're tired. I remember in college when I was underage drinking, a party I was at got broken up and the cops came to get me. And I was like, I'm tired. And they were like, no, you're arrested. Get in there. I'm half white and half Indian, so I take yoga very seriously. So important. I'm actually half German and half Indian, which I feel like is kind of a weird combination, you know? Like the only thing they have in common is the swastika. But you know what? It depends on the angle. But if you put a swastika over another swastika, you actually get a snowflake.
Oh my God.
Yeah. What I'm trying to say is that I'm incredibly sensitive. Please do not challenge me on anything.
Oh, I don't believe that.
Wait, he's oh.
Yeah. Please, Mike. I was very clear about my position.
Mike.
Cannot be challenged. I know Trump jokes are kind of they're kind of not fun anymore, but this is the last one I'll ever do, I promise. I'm lying. I don't know why I'm lying to you guys right now.
Sure,
I think Trump might be the only man who could ever make a white man's transition to power feel like a minority's. There is so much security. It's like, what is the first woman coming up? Like, with this? You know what I bet? I bet Biden was watching Obama just endure racism, and he was like, wow, it's going to be so much easier for me. And he had no idea that we're like, you know what? Actually, you're a Democrat. We're going to make you feel like a minority here.
Oh, dear.
Okay, that's my last Trump joke, I promise. I got an oh dear, and that is never the reaction you want. Guys, when I was I got my period pretty late as a kid because I was like way too jacked, which I think is a pretty manly way to get your period.
I think we all
yeah, I was a gymnast, so I had like way too much muscle to get my period. I think that's super manly. You know, like if my period was a man, he would like provide for his family in a stoic fashion. You know, like he would just like drop my school books across the table and then go in the backyard and chop lumber.
Wow. Wow.
You know, here's the thing. I think it's criminal that when girls get their period, we give them white sheets. You know, it's like after that happens, you need court-ordered red pants and black sheets just for a few years till you figure it out. I think that's why people think women are so good at laundry, you know, because like once a month they just see us doing it at all hours of the day. Here, I bet that this is where the stereotype comes from. Like a founding father saw his daughter doing laundry at midnight, and he was like, "Laundry again?" And she panicked. She was like, "Oh, you know, women be crazy."
I'm sure.
He was like, "All right, I'll put in the Constitution, but." It's unnecessary. A lot of people have like names they want to name their kid, but they get ruined by someone they know in their life, which for me, that's so unfortunate because I feel like I could never name my daughter Florida. You know, I don't think it's gonna work because like he was peaking during my peak club days, and apple bottom jeans hits differently when you've thrown up to it. Also, he was so mean in middle school. Am I right? My boyfriend is a programmer. Give it up for me. Thank you. I love it. My mom is so happy for me. You know, she's like, yes, lock it down.
You have data issues.
Oh God, Ned, please stop.
You were the one that was excited to see him, Jessica.
Excited. I got so excited.
Got nobody else to play.
So
When you
sad.
see Ned Rice iPhone J, how can you not get excited?
Amazingly easy.
Oh my God.
Anyway, my boyfriend is a programmer. I'm very excited for myself. But it's insulting, right? Because people act like I'm going to marry him for his money. And it's like, I'm not going to marry him for his money. I'm going to marry him because he has trouble making eye contact with other women. He's actually the perfect man. I feel like my mom was worried for me and all, like, because like we got together in high school, like way before he was making money. So it's like my mom shouldn't have been worried about, like, she shouldn't have been worried about my romantic status. She should be more worried about getting me into the stock trade. So clearly I have good taste. Like I know what's about to blow up. Like I was predicting GameStop at the beginning. That's a deep Wall Street cut.
Right.
Yeah.
How am I doing on time? Am I doing okay?
You're over, but we
Oh,
love
okay. Then I will
Likewise.
stop. I will stop. Thank you so much for having me.
you are delightful as always.
Wow.
Delightful as always. Every week she comes with bigger glasses. In 3 weeks, she'll be on the show again, and she'll be wearing glasses that say 2002. Something she picked up on the ground on Times Square about 18 years ago. Anyway, let's not talk about that. Let's bring our next performer on, Chuck, because
we've paired Jessica Misra with her neighbor.
For decades, they were begging about
blocks
being underrepresented. And now all of a
away
sudden we're racing.
each other, and
And they're both from Chicago.
maybe it's me or maybe it's Maybelline, but this guy had some of the sweetest lipstick we've seen.
It's gone now. It's gone.
Look, it made sense when we grabbed Jessica to book this next guy. They're very funny and enjoy pairing them together. Would you please welcome Raghu Adibhatla?
Thank you.
This is Raghu.
Thank you so much, guys. Yes, my lipstick is gone. My daughter resolved that for me. But yeah, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Raghu. Been married for 14 years. We have 2 kids, which means twice in my life I was Raghu and my wife was Prego.
Hello.
How that works. My kid, so my son, you guys want to know what his first word was?
Yes.
All right, I'm going to tell you what his first word was. It was cock porn. No joke.
Are you a single dad?
That was his first word. That was his first word. And he, he was pointing at me when he said it. I didn't know why, but I knew why afterwards. He was trying to say popcorn. That's what I'm trying to say. But you know what? Here's the thing. Now I'm afraid because like when he's gonna go, later in his years, when he's gonna date sometime, he's gonna go to a movie theater. He's gonna go with his date, like, honey, what would you like? And she'll point and be like, oh, I was afraid you were gonna say, yeah, I like some cock porn. A large. It's gonna happen. Christmas just happened. I love Christmas. But let me tell you something. Christmas was ruined for me when I was a kid. It was ruined, you guys, because I knew right away that there was no Santa Claus. I knew it right away because my dad, my very Indian dad, would come down the stairs dressed like Santa Claus. He would go, Ha ha ha. Merry Christmas. Pronouncing the T. I knew it was them because like they would always get the cheapest thing on the list. But the other thing was I knew there's never going to be a brown Santa Claus. There is never going to be one. You know why? Because the world is not prepared for a brown guy with a long beard breaking into people's homes and leaving suspicious packages. So I got 2 kids, right? I got 2 kids. They're great, but like, you know, I try to help out with them. But you know what? Like, I'm not like my wife, right? Like moms are the best. Like I'm not, you know, I try to do my thing. And they would always scream for mommy whenever I, you know, because I told them one time, I said, your presents are going to be virtual. That's what I told my kids. They got mad. They screamed for mommy. You know what that means? That means in toddler language, that means, can I speak to the manager? and I try to be a good parent, but you know what? Parents lie to their kids. They lie. They tell things. Like when we go into a toy store, I tell my kids, hey, it's not a toy store. It's just a museum. You can't touch it. You can't touch it. Or I'll tell them, okay, honey, if you do this, I'm gonna buy you a unicorn. or I tell them, honey, what you just saw was me teaching mommy how to yoga. You do what you can, right? So like, you know, my wife asked me the other day, she was like, hey, can you take me to that place where they make the food in front of you? I was like, all right, sure, honey, I can do that for you. I'm a great husband. So I took her to the kitchen and told me to make me a steak. That's how social distancing started. At the beginning of this pandemic, we wanted to buy some fish. We decided to do this as a family to buy some fish. We said, hey, let's buy some fish. We bought 5 fish from PetSmart. Next day, all the fish died. All of them died. No. I go back to PetSmart. I'm like, what happened? And the guy was like, oh, yeah. So let me tell you, when you take the fish out of their regular environment, you put them in a new environment, they die of stress. Like, okay. So I told him, all right, let me get this straight. As humans, we were in a regular environment. Now we're in a new environment with this pandemic. You can't go to bars, you can't go to restaurants, you can't cough, you can't sneeze, you can't kiss, you can't fist bump, you can't fart, you can't laugh, you can't hug, you can't sing. You can't sing Sweet Caroline. You can't. Yeah, my daughter is doing e-learning. My glasses are fogging up because of the mask. And my place looks like Woodstock the day after every day. And you're telling me the fish are stressed? Is that what you're telling me? There's a lot of things we can't do, guys. Like it's just, you know, and we went to go visit my parents. They live in this like country, like wine country. And we decided to do some wine tasting, and I called them up. I was like, hey, can we do this? They were like, yes, but here's what you got to do. You got to call ahead and place the order for the wine. And when you get there, we bring the wine to your car curbside. Which means you're drinking wine in your car behind the wheel. Which also means you could get a DUI while looking for parking. I'm gonna end on this. I love watching movies. I always ask my wife what she likes to watch, and I would say, "Hey, what do you like to watch?" She always says, "I want to watch a feel-good movie." A feel-good movie. You guys ever heard that before? We all want to watch that, right? Feel-good movie. Do I put on a porn? I felt good. But the thing about a lot of movies is Indians don't have enough roles in movies, right? They always need, different roles. We're always tired of playing the cab driver, the convenience store owner, the terrorist. We need an Indian James Bond, right? Because he'd be riding around in his shiny, hot, souped up Camry. He'd be Agent 00711. His next movie would be Dr. No. And he'd go around going, my name is Bond, Dr. James Bond. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Hi.
Oh my
Thank you,
God.
Raghu.
Oh my
Wow.
God.
Yeah, he saves the anti-Indian stuff for the end. And
As do I.
and I would call it racist, but he's
Michael does it throughout.
How,
well, I like to sprinkle it.
right, how nice of you to have every one of Jonathan Solomon's headshots over your shoulder.
Oh,
We've got
From every
them
era.
coming up
Jonathan
later.
from every era.
Is that
I
the
remember that
Jonathan room in
Christmas
your
party
house?
at the Improv when you came as chaplain, John.
oh shit.
Anyway, Raghu is wonderful. Raghu and Jessica are both from Chicago, by the way. I think I mentioned that earlier, but I'm saying it again. Why?
Oh, you have a ride home?
No, because my son just arrived and he lives in Chicago. So my son just arrived from
making
finishing up his
connections.
Dungeons and Dragons game. So he's going to be on the show now.
Nice.
And he's in Chicago. So grab him, Jessica.
After the show, Mike and I might go over to Winchell's to play some Winchell's and Dragons.
Yeah. I happen to be, not to brag, but I'm a 7th level Bear Claw mage.
Mhm.
That's bragging.
That's because he has a +5 long in the tooth sword. Okay.
Oh shit.
Mike,
How about
it's
if we brought our next comic up? Would that hurt?
it's
anybody?
a very special episode, and no episode would be special without this next guest. Would you please welcome Ned Rice, ladies and
We
gentlemen?
actually call him.
Hey.
Ned,
Thank you.
Rice.
Jessica, Raghu, incredible, so funny, high energy. Let's change gears a little bit here. Bring it down. Very excited to hear the Buccaneers are going to the Super Bowl. Tom Brady's 43 years old, very old to be a quarterback in the Super Bowl. But apparently the Buccaneers are going to the no huddle offense because every time the team huddles up, all Tom wants to talk about is the war and how the kids today have it too easy. And rap isn't really music. So the no huddle will speed that up, I think. I love football, especially college football. My favorite part of the college football is when the special teams takes the field. They're called special. They're not like the other kids, but they're out there playing their hearts out. They're blocking and tackling and kicking, just like the regular kids. And to me, that's inspiring. I just love that about football. And let's move on. COVID is still on the run. There's a rampage of COVID, and now there's a new mutation of a super virus. My friend in LA is telling me, yeah, we have the new COVID-19 2.0. It's bigger, it's faster, it has more features. Not like the one you guys are still dealing with in Nowhereville. And now I'm in that conversation, like, should I upgrade? How much more a month will this cost me? Can I trade in my old COVID? Good news, Hollywood is taking on the pandemic. Hookers on Hollywood Boulevard are now offering hand sanitizer jobs. And I think that's wonderful. If we all pull together, we can fix this. That's the key. And the other good news is now there's a third vaccine. You know, there's the Moderna vaccine, the Pfizer, and now Kirkland has a vaccine. You can get it at Costco. You have to buy it in bulk, like a 12-gallon cup, but they have the free sample. So I got my free sample vaccine today, and I'll get another one in 2 weeks, and I'll be all good for that. The thing I hate most about this darn pandemic is we can't travel. I haven't taken a trip since before it started. The last big trip I took before the pandemic, I went to the Holy Land, which was so wonderful. And I got off the airplane, I'm walking through the airport, and I wanted to change my American money into Israeli money. So I said, where's the currency exchange? And the guy said, sir, you're in the Holy Land. We threw out the money changers a long time ago. So I said, hey, easy, don't crucify me, okay? I didn't know. It's my first trip here. So that's weird. But I did learn a great airport hack. If you're running behind and you're rushed to get through security and customs, you can now, in some airports, you can rent a crying baby. You just swipe your card, pull it off the rack, try to get a colicky baby, and they're just like, go, just go, keep going. Like, you get through that airport so fast. It's just wonderful. I kid the children, but it's sad because when I was married, my wife and I couldn't have children. Not for any medical reason. I just don't know how juice boxes work. And if you can't get that if you can't get that straw in the juice box, there's no point really in having children. That's sad. It's sad. It's kind of funny, but mostly sad, like me. I have gained so much weight during this pandemic. It's just, I don't know about you guys. I'm so fat now, I can actually socially distance from myself. It's awful. That's just, I'm so fat now. When my girlfriend and I are intimate, she has to go across on me. Across. Not up and no, across. That is that
wait,
gives you an idea of how, yes.
What you're saying is she can't go down on you anymore? She actually has to go.
That is the burden of the joke. Yes, Mike. Nice going. Thank you. I love the way you get
down,
right to the point, Mike. I love that about you and really nothing else. My girlfriend is so wonderful. She's such a doll. She only has one flaw. She's a perfectionist. If it wasn't for that, she'd be perfect. And I kid her about that. But we argue a lot. Don't get me wrong. She says, Ned, you're such a people pleaser. You're always being a people pleaser. And I said, honey, I really don't feel like I am, but if it'll make you happy, I can do that. I can be a people pleaser. In fact, that's a great idea. You're so smart. And we don't talk for a while. But and the other thing she says to me all the time, you're gaslighting me. Why are you always gaslighting me? And I said, honey, that's crazy. I don't even know what that word means. I think somebody around here needs another glass of wine. That's what I think. I don't know. I don't get the women thing. All I did in college was try to figure out women, try to unravel that mystery. I spent so much time trying to figure women out in college. I should have at least a minor in women's studies, don't you think?
Hello.
I mean, that's the amount of work I put in. But honestly, let's just finish up Jessica's intro and call it a night. Can we do that, please? Who's with me on that? Anybody? Thank you very much. I'm all done.
Ned Rice, ladies and
Ned
gentlemen.
Rice.
Yay.
Hey, Ned, is that minor in women's studies the reason you can't stay at a school or a park?
Actually, it's funny you should ask. I'm actually in a PhD program, getting my doctorate in women's studies. And the title of my thesis is Women, Right? What am I? That's the title of my thesis.
Subtitle is They Don't Know What They Want.
They're always shopping.
Oh, it's just so not funny.
It's just like,
Wow.
Women be shopping.
just don't give them a credit card, people. Know what
Am
I
I
mean?
right?
Am I right?
My wife
Jesus.
lost her credit card. 2 stores went under. That's
Oh,
the Henny
hello.
Youngman. That's the Henny Youngman joke.
Wow.
Take that joke, please.
It's sad.
Oh,
Right.
Ned. I love the way that you really streamlined the act. You know, you go just from premise to premise to premise.
It's almost like you're talking normally.
This is the way you do your set in half the time. I love it.
Why bother with those busy punchlines?
Yeah. Oh, you know what? If your audience had half a brain, they'd know what you were going for. That's what I say.
That's
Proud of you. Proud of you, man. Proud of you.
Am I special?
Right.
You're special, Ned.
Oh boy.
This has been a special
Hey, you know what? We have other acts.
We do.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
you and I can't just be here and be funnier than everybody all night. We have to bring other people up too. So please welcome, if you will, another good friend of mine. Well, until tonight. Really great guy. Lives in Los Angeles now. He's been doing comedy for, God, a long time. It's almost impossible to believe he's younger than me. That's how long he's been doing it.
Young and Henny.
Of course, I had a career as a lawyer first. No, I defended Goering at the Nuremberg trials.
Oh my goodness.
Somebody had to do it.
Is this part of Jessica's introduction?
Yeah.
They haven't even started.
Yeah, in about 5 minutes, she'll be ready to start on last Monday's show.
Mike,
This
Mike
guy's
puts the
great.
prude in
This
jurisprudence.
guy's great. I tell you what, did you notice how he laughed when Rick Siegel was speaking just now? That's how diplomatic he is. Please welcome Jonathan Solomon, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, everybody. Thank you, Michael. It's amazing. Yes, it is amazing to think that anyone's older than me. Oh, and by the way, for those who didn't see it, who weren't in the green room, to show I'm old, I wore the original Igby's t-shirt, which I have. So just for those who signed on late, I am old though. Some of you have heard me say this. I've reached a new old stage, which is, there's different stages of old. There's when, in your 20s, young girls stop looking at you. And then sometime in your 30s, women, young women stop looking at you. Sometime in your 50s, women entirely stop looking at you. I've reached this new stage. Los Angeles Police Department has stopped looking at me.
Oh no.
I can make a U-turn in my car across traffic, and they do this thing. You sort of lean in and look in the window. Just go. They know I'm not afraid. I always think there's a rookie riding with an experienced cop. What are you doing? He made a U-turn. He's old. He's probably in a rush because he's got to pee. I'm not old enough to get the vaccine. I can't believe some people don't want the vaccine. I want any vaccine they got. I mean, I want a vaccine for every time I load a new operating system on Apple. It's not a complete clusterfuck vaccine. Can I get offered at Dodger Stadium? I'll tell you a little bit about my Sunday today. Sundays are always an odd day for me. Anne Frank. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to mention Anne Frank now, and I'm allowed to do that because I'm Jewish. Mike, the show a joke. You are married to Carol, so as I said in the chat, I'll let it go, but not too many.
Never again. Never again.
Frank. Hey, I'm going
What
to do
is it with you people?
I'm going to do a micro joke right now, just because it'll be fun. So Britney Spears starring in Anne Frank in Community in dinner theater, and the third act when the Nazis showed up, the entire audience stood up and said, "She's behind the bookcase." A micro joke, just moving that by you. But anyway, so Anne Frank said this thing that all people deep down are good. And which is an inspiring idea and one I agree with. And it's particularly inspiring when you think that she said that when she was living behind a bookcase. But there's one person I never get along with. Actually, it's amazing because Ned was talking about air travel, and I'm going to talk about the same dynamic at air travel. And I've also been doing very little traveling lately, even by car. My car at this point is a paperweight. Air travel, the most difficult thing about air travel is that little expanse of time between when the plane ascends before it gets to cruising altitude and descends before it lands when the babies cry. And the reason they do this is it's a scientific thing, is as the air pressure in the cabin changes, you get this discomfort in your inner ear. And babies, adults, we know to intentionally swallow or yawn. And it's really hard to explain that to infants. I have tried, or at least people look that they should. That's the thing. I know they don't understand it, but I always have this, I just want to yell at them, like, learn to swallow, or at least put this in context.
Or chew gum.
But this is a long story, but this leads to my Sundays is I believe deep down all people are good, but there's this, I think, adaptation I came up with when I was an infant, which is on Sundays, I do always dislike this same person. And some of you, if you're artists and Jews, may know what I'm talking about. And the person is me. Because I have nothing to do on Sundays and I can't accomplish anything. So I'm just like, oh, so that's pretty much it. So, I don't know if any of you have ever been involved in sort of depressive self-loathing, but here's what it's like. Here's a metaphor. Like you're in a house and a bell rings and someone comes to the door and they go, you're an asshole, you're a loser, and don't even get me started about how unattractive you are. And look at that. Come on in. All right, I don't want to be too down. Last night I had excitement. I went to Ralph's for my I shop in the middle of the night now all the time because it's easier. And I met a woman at Ralph's, which was cool. And I sort of impressed her because, it's COVID, so it's easy to impress someone. I bought 2 packages of paper towels, so she thinks I'm. Now I'm excited because we're going to have a date on Zoom and then I'll get to find out what she looks like. So I didn't tell her I was a comic. There are women who get confused and think comics are like fun and tell jokes all the time. Just so you know, we're not. At all. We're depressed and we tell you we really wish we'd been musicians. Strippers, we don't get confused the career. I've dated a lot of strippers. I'd like to see that to see your reaction, like if y'all go bullshit. Because no, I'm not one of, I just say that to sound like a smooth operator. I did date a woman that worked at a strip club. She was the bouncer. Very different body type. I have dated
a lot of bouncers in
I
strip
dated
clubs.
a Victoria's Secret model, though. I did.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, no, she worked for Victoria's Secret. She was a Malaysian seamstress. Then I had to stage because she heard there were better paying sweatshop work here. So, you know what I bought at Ralph's? Is I bought a Hungry Man dinner because I don't want to go out to eat, so I got to stock up. I bought a Hungry Man dinner. I think they are not properly named. Have you had a Hungry Man dinner? It's called Little Person Who Just Wants a Snack Dinners. One of the dinners I bought was a Salisbury steak TV dinner. Yeah, that Salisbury steak dinners are so 50s that the directions actually say you can't use a microwave. You have to eat it while watching black and white TV and while sitting at a segregated lunch counter.
Wow.
Now, I just want to say I was on the side of integration from the beginning. Good people on both sides of the argument. Good people on both sides. There is one. No, there's not good. There is good. You know where there's no good people on both sides? Whoever put The Masked Singer on the air.
Yes. Yeah.
Those
Bad.
people, I
All
just don't know
bad.
how they sleep at night is really the point. So, I have been shopping. I just want to tell you briefly, I've been shopping at Whole Foods a lot lately. I'm going to wrap up now, but I just want to tell Whole Foods, if you have Prime, it's great because the tuna with cranberry is still $62 an ounce, but they let you pay for it with layaway. I've learned so much during the COVID pandemic. I just recently found out at Amazon, I don't know if you know, you can get stuff besides books.
Oh,
Wow.
On the curve on this internet. But you know, I spend so much time on the phone with, and they're always saying to improve our service, what do they always say? To improve your your
experience.
prompts, you know, is that what they say?
Yeah, it is what they say.
Yeah, and I always just want to yell to
We do
improve the service.
research.
Why don't you just fucking put Jeff Bezos on the phone, okay? I'm going to wrap up now. I just want to end with my usual thing, which is this is my new Biden administration kind wrap up, which is be good to each other. I always like to quote one of my favorite musicians who died because of COVID, John Prine. And when I was growing up, he had this beautiful song called Hello in There, where he would say that older people are lonely. And so when you see one on the street, you smile and you say hello in there. You know, they're old people. And I heard this when I was 17. So at the time I had sort of a confused idea of what was old. So I ended up probably walking up to a lot of people and saying hello in there who are actually 32. You get my drift. So be kind and say hello in there and thank you and good night.
Thanks, Jonathan. Whoa.
Could we bring Jonathan back for just a second, Chuck? Could we bring him back for just a second? Because I want to point something out I've been thinking about for months. And if we just put his picture back on for just a second.
yeah.
Really
Sorry, the guys in the TV truck
I would
stepped
like
out
to
to smoke.
where you got the picture of Scott Bakula in drag that's right behind your head.
This one?
I think that's Tony Curtis.
This one?
Is that Tony
Steve Martin.
Curtis?
That is
I think
Steve
so.
Martin. Steve Martin.
Eyes
Steve Martin.
down.
Comedy is
is
not
not
pretty.
pretty.
Oh my God.
From the eyes down, he looks just like Scott Bakula. Back in Time episodes from.
What can I do to get you one of Raghu Adibhatla's headshots? So that way I got yours and
Talk
you've
about a
got
fair
his.
play, after all. I have a couple of tintypes of my early headshots that I could give to but they don't want that. Chuck?
Right. I believe Ken Burns is holding on to all of his early photographs.
And let's hope that continues.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to be in his new thing, The History of the Lithograph.
Right. That was a sick Burns I got you with there, Mike.
Yeah, you got me with that. I'll tell you.
Mike, more comedy ahead. A super special guest and lots of fun. And we want to. It's a big night out, so we want to take the Imanidi yacht out to the dark side of the moon. There, thanks to our sponsor, Imanidi's Pizzas. Imanidi's Pizzas delivered hot and fresh. They've got a yacht and they loan it to us
at least once a show.
Right. So we'll take it over to how about a space where we can give away some cool prizes, and we'll also plug your show, Mike. Where do we meet? Lots of great comedians. Monday nights, 8 p.m. Open mic starring Mike Langworthy. If you've ever wanted to try comedy, this is the place. And you know, if you ever wanted to perfect your act or whatnot, we've got stage time for you.
Just thought of something for you.
Right. So we do broadcast the shows on YouTube. You can catch the archive at Colorado Comedy Shows. And Mike also likes to do yoga in the middle of the episode. So feel free to follow along with Mike's desk time yoga. Coming up on the 31st, that's next week, Mike, we're doing a service industry New Year's Eve. So we're redoing our New Year's Eve show. Mike, we're going to bring back the big ball drop. Gang, if you don't recall, right before New Year's Eve, Mike just took his Golden Globes and tossed them right up there on the Eiffel Tower. And so we've got big ball drop coming up next week. We're going to read the ball drop. Of course, we went over to New Greenland where they got a new In-N-Out burger. So Mike just put the ball up there in the sky. And so we'll do a big ball drop next week. It's a recreation of midnight. And of course, we'll be live in Rio de Janeiro where the big balls are going to drop. So that's all brought to you by previously on the ApocaLips and next time on the ApocaLips. Very funny shows you can watch up there on YouTube. So we're gathering next week. If you missed New Year's Eve, we're doing it again for you. See the big balls drop live at virtually next week. Look at that camera work right there, Mike. The crew is doing great. 3 live shots balanced at once. So nice job, gang. Tune in next week for that very fun episode. And we want to say thank you to our VIPs, Mike. We definitely have a VIP we want to say thank you to. Thanks, Carol, for being here. Carol, I don't know if that I know.
Saint Carol.
What?
You being here, Carol. Carol, this is the first thing we got you. Got you a little mansion. Thought you'd like this. I heard you had a little crush on Joe Manchin, so I got you this mansion instead. Also, it's a very special episode, and you're going to have your own special. It's a TV special starring you. There's your special TV production crew, and so enjoy that. And we also got you this 38 special. You can enjoy them live and
hold on loosely.
Virtually, yes. Virtually,
don't let go.
Right, virtually anytime you want, you can hold on loosely to these virtual memories, and
you can cling too tightly.
Right.
Won a Kennedy Center Award, apparently, Chuck.
Part of a kick-ass light show is what they got there. So yeah,
I think there's a fire.
Right. I thought, we'll add to the light show, and so enjoy your 38 special, and then I believe we have one more prize for you at least. We got you some chicken. It's pretty fun. Pretty fun. Chef Mark Scapone of our virtual event center got you a nice plate of chicken and salad. So there he is. That's our guy, Mark Scapone of our virtual event center. Kind of chases me with salads everywhere I go. Everywhere I go, it's salads. So enjoy your VIP gifts, including your delicious salad. General admission audience members, including you, Craig, thanks for joining. And we've got prizes for you up there in the balcony. Carol got chicken, so we got you this chicken. Kind of got to cook it yourself, everybody. It's very fresh. It's very fresh. But
actually, I was promised a cock tonight.
Right.
There's been a terrible mix-up.
What have we known about you? It's always any cock'll do. Okay. And thought I'd get you these Big Macs, big dog. So those of you in general mission, you get Big Macs, and because they have special sauce. And you also get a salad. I don't know. I think I'd take the salad over the Big Macs, but either way, enjoy your VIP prizes. And Mike, every week we do have a VIP in the house, and it works out great. We would love to spend some time with Stacy and find out the latest of what's happening over at Elevating Connections. 10% of your ticket fee goes to support Elevating Connections, and also 10% of our live events if you're interested in booking a show. Stacy, can you tell the gang that's assembled here, a great audience here tonight, and also wonderful people listening on YouTube. Hi, YouTubers. Stacy, can you tell them about Elevating Connections and how you're doing?
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much, Chuck. I always love talking about the work I do, and certainly on this show, it's my favorite time to do that. So we reunite siblings separated in foster care. We've been doing that for 6 years as of next Sunday, January 31st. We offer summer camp and events throughout the year. I do lots of education and support around that. You can only imagine how difficult it is to not only be abused and neglected in your home, but then be removed from each other as siblings. And then the other piece that we do is we work with older youth in helping them find their voice and connection after they've emancipated out of foster care without finding a permanent home. And that's what I want to focus on a little bit tonight. Last year, when the pandemic started, we had to do the pivot like everybody else, and we have an annual poetry jam and workshops. We had to go to virtual workshops. And then Chuck was helping us with that, and he and I had a conversation, and it quickly hit us like a Mack truck that some of the youth I work with couldn't connect with us because they didn't have access to the internet anymore because the libraries were closed, coffee shops were closed. And so Chuck went into overdrive, and for our poetry jam came up with the technology ticket. We raised $2,500, and because of that, we've been able to help youth all year long get their phones turned back on, get computers for them, get laptops, get tablets for them, and help them connect to us. Because I'll tell you what, I don't know if you noticed, but in the pandemic, it's been really hard for us to connect with our people. It's even harder for the kids I serve. And thanks to this community from Colorado Comedy Shows and Chuck, we raised over $6,000 last year between the poetry jam and corporate events. And that is a small amount of money.
Yeah.
Particularly for an organization that's all volunteer run. So I promised you a small world story, and here it is. In mid-December, we had an audience member here for the show. Her name was Mary. A few days later, she came to Factotum Brewery, where she'd heard about, through them, the special beer that was made just for us, which, by the way, is still available, a roasted brown ale, delicious. She's like, I heard about you on Chuck's show. And so she bought our beer because of that.
Yeah.
She reached out to me about a week ago and said, my company got new laptops. I have 6 laptops all ready to go for you. Would you like them? So I met her the other day. I've got 6 laptops that will go out directly to the youth that I work with. So when I talk about the power of connection, it's not just for the youth I serve, it's for the community that supports the work I do. So thank you so much. So these are great laptops that are going out to youth as quickly as we can get them out to them for school and work and connection.
That is huge.
Yeah.
So that is so cool, Stacy. Way to go, audience. Look at what
Yep.
you did there, huh?
Right.
How about a round of applause for Mary, wherever you are out there? You're very so glad people are taking advantage of the beers and helping you that way. And if you're watching on the YouTube and you'd like to learn more about Elevating Connections, their website is on screen, elevatingconnections.org. And we've got more. Stacy, you're a popular audience member on this next show on Saturday. We drink beer and we laugh with Dear Comics at the Bar, a show on Instagram. You can go to @DearComics on Instagram. They're on the Facebook and YouTubes and whatnots. But on Saturdays, we drink beer, we laugh a lot with your next comedian, a regular here on the ApocaLips. We're always glad when he's here. Would you please welcome Stephen Young, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Chuck. Thanks, everybody. What a fun show. I'm excited, actually. It's not just beer. Sometimes it's root beer, and Mike's going to join us. So if anyone who's performed wants to kill an hour, please send me a message. This has been such a fun show. I love seeing everybody. Frankly, I was surprised I saw Holly Butler's name, and welcome. I love that because, first of all, my grandmother's maiden name was Butler. And I love it when you meet somebody and their last name tells you what their ancestors did for a living, you know, like when you meet someone named Farmer, you know, or Baker or Cooper. So I always wondered when I meet someone named Lipschitz, because that sounds like a hard way to make a buck. or even Dickinson. It's members of the clergy, I'm guessing, for that one. But I'm sorry about that. This is going to be awful and offensive, but it's 3 a.m. where Nick is, right? So I guess we're fine. And I'm just sitting here. I'm going crazy, right? I'm sitting alone waiting for a shot. It's like I feel like a nature photographer at this point, right? And you know, just like a nature photographer, once I finally get that shot, very few people will care. But anyway, we're like, oh, what else is on, you know? I thought it was interesting that our former president's gone. He's not on Twitter anymore, which is kind of nice. And they also took down his Pinterest page, which I found shocking, because that's a lot of us. That's where you go for your crafty ideas, right? Is you would go to the former president's Pinterest page. And now I'm wondering, how am I going to figure out how to make a locket of Russian hooker urine? But I'll get by. I'll get by. He's still, I guess he's on Pornhub, but he's not on Christian Mingle. But I think on Pornhub, he'll be able to speak with a lot of the same people. And I guess Melania's page was taken down, but she's still on Ashley Madison. So that makes sense to me.
That's good.
The thing I did wonder about this week, if you were a crazy person in the QAnon cult, you were waiting for the inauguration when it wouldn't happen and martial law would be declared and all of the baby eaters would be arrested. And of course, instead, something very different happened and your flabby Messiah flew off, under the 21-gun salute. And I was thinking, can you imagine? When this happened and you're in QAnon, you're just standing there looking stupid. And all these guys in matching tracksuits and sneakers who poison themselves are going, ha ha, and the people from Jonestown are saying, well, at least we got a snack, and some of you are saying, well, wait a minute, Steve, you're telling jokes where you're quoting dead people. And I understand there's a continuity wrinkle there, but I'm going to keep doing it. Because I think over the last 4 years, Charles Darwin was like, well, maybe I missed something. Maybe there's something. Maybe I forgot to carry a one or something because this evolution seems flawed as a theory. And on that note, we had a storming of our Capitol, a violent and terrible act where people were killed, and it was caused by our erstwhile leader and the leader of the Republican the Republican caucus, I guess you call it, Kevin McCarthy, said, no, actually, I think it's the whole country's fault what happened there. And I thought that was a hot take of his, I thought, on an armed insurrection. So what he's saying is it's not just the rioters with zip ties and Viking helmets that their mothers bought them, killing police officers. It's all those people that weren't there, on a Wednesday, working at their jobs, at grocery stores or nursing homes, risking their lives for not enough pay. It's not just the disgraced former New York mayors with brown goo dripping down their foreheads, exhorting an armed band of morons to go kill people in trial by combat. That was his quote. What about blaming, all those people across the country in ICUs hooked up to respirators? I think we just got to there's a lot of blame to go around on this one. And I thought Kevin McCarthy, interesting. How come Republicans suddenly, when it's blame we're talking about, they turn into socialists? It's like, no, everybody gets some blame. It's a blame shift in every pot. They turn into basically, they're like Oprah. Look under your chair. You get some blame. You get some blame. This is terrible. I got a better idea, actually. I think, why don't we give all of the blame to Kevin McCarthy and his merry band of insurrectionists? And we can just watch and see if any of it trickles down. I don't know. That's my idea. That was probably a hot take and too mean. I'm sorry. I will end with something lighter. I apologize. I live in Colorado where people say, be present. That's a very Colorado thing. And I don't like when people say that to me. And first of all, it's impossible, right? I'm trying to be present and it just went. There it went. I'm going to try and be present again. It's never going to happen. But worse than that, think of the best time in your life, the happiest you've ever been. If it's now, then you just made my present a little sadder. I'll be honest. And the worst thing about the present is it was once the future. What a disappointment, I got to say. Seriously. Live in the past. That's what I say. Look, we should all live in the past because at least you know how it turns out. Anyway, that's my time. I'm Steve. Thanks for joining and enjoy the headliner. This is going to be great.
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, keep trying to tell him, do political stuff. You're smart, but he won't listen. Anyway, shall we go straight to it, Chucky?
Let's do that. So.
All right. This next guy is a guy that I've known for over 20 years. He watched England win the World Rugby Championship at my house.
Did.
And
They played at your house?
Yes.
Mike, I think you're lying. I don't believe you.
I was there too, you incredible moron.
Yes.
Anyway, he lives in England, West Ham fan, so, you know, be gentle. And very, very funny guy, and he stayed up until 3:00 in the morning to do this. So, no big time. Let's pay him off in laughter. Am I right?
Yeah.
Big Revell, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey. Thank you, Mike. That's I'm delighted to be invited, and it's makes a change to be able to stay up to my normal hours, which I haven't been experiencing obviously for so long. Sorry about the lighting. Sorry about the uninteresting backdrop compared to the rest of you, but that's Brexit. Down to the bone here. I'm not going to go on at length about that. It's not going well. I was never a big fan, frankly, but we're British. We'll deal with it calmly. We're going to form calm, socially distance queues as we wait to climb into the shipping containers, which will take us across the Mediterranean to start a new and better life somewhere in Syria. So very happy about that. I am drinking, by the way. I am what you Americans would call a functioning alcoholic, and what the British would call British. What the Irish would call a lightweight. But I don't want to get controversial at the top, but I have to say, from a personal point of view, well, everybody I know here, we were all really, frankly, delighted that you didn't get taken over in a fascist coup this week. That wasn't a phrase that I ever thought that I would genuinely say in my life that related to anything in reality, but there you go. And it's also a shock when it was happening to realize, I didn't realize that Village People had a military wing. But anyway, I'm not here to intrude on your troubles and so on. I basically don't really do jokes. I just tell stories about stuff that happens around where I live here in North London. So I'm going to try and do a little bit of a story which I've called the Clash of the Hipster Shamans, because where I live is the north part of the borough of Islington, which has a reputation for being very kind of trendy and liberal and so on. We live at the sort of street credible end. It's where the sort of yoga and brunch economy mixes with the betting shop and street crime economy, and I like it a lot. You know, you got shops, you got supermarkets and charity shops and so on. And if you ever come to London, the best way to go to Holloway is, well, you know how if you come to King's Cross and you go to platform 9 3/4, you get to Hogwarts, and if you're in Rome Station, you get on at platform 8 1/2, and you get transported back to the halcyon days of Italian neo-realist cinema. Well, if you get on a 17 bus at London Bridge in London, you will be transported magically through the city, past St Paul's Cathedral, up Farringdon Road, up Holloway Road. You're going in the reverse direction now to where Oliver Twist comes down at the beginning of the book. It's a beautiful description. It hasn't really changed that much. And you'll see it all. You'll just see this mixture of layers of demographics and ethnicity, and it's fantastic. The restaurants, but this new sort of hipster creep is coming in. So we've got the North London University just past Holloway Road Station, where you'll see their Institute of Selfie Technology and Aesthetic. That's true. And it's opposite the vegan butchers, and then there's a little cafe where the pastries are available for anyone to eat, whatever kind of food allergies and problems they have, even the latest ones that are so new they haven't yet been translated from the original Californian. It's all covered. And I love the mix of it, you know, but this is weird. Now, I don't know if you believe in coincidence, right? But about 18 months ago, on the very same day, 2 shaman shops opened next to each other on Holloway Road, right? One is run by Toby, who's originally from Hove, which is a reference that won't have the resonance that it does here. I'm sorry, obviously I'm going at speed now. Some of the references I haven't thought out. Anyway, he makes a hallucinogenic out of the Siberian shamanic tradition, and his hallucinogenic is made from the fermented urine of reindeer who are fed on fly agaric hallucinogenic mushrooms. Well, next to him is Matt, who's from Stoke Newington, and he uses the Amazonian ayahuasca, which is brewed entirely from vegetables and so on. So it's entirely vegan, which happens later in the story. I probably won't get to that. And I'm just setting that up because it's just strange to me that although it's fantastic that these incredibly deep and complex rituals, which derive in traditional hunter-gatherer societies in remote parts of the world, and are administered by the shaman, who is not only the magician of the tribe and the visionary and the priest and so on, but also the guardian, the historic, the culture that he's protecting and leading and so on. And these hallucinogenics are normally administered in incredibly complex rituals, which have taken thousands of years to develop. And now they're being sold on the streets of North London by millennials who learned how to do it all in their gap year. And I think that's just a wonderful culture. And they've narrowed it down to the important part of shamanism, which is, of course, the tripping and the astral plane cruising when you leave your body if you drink enough of the hallucinogenic. The 2 popular hallucinogenics in their shops are the ayahuasca margarita and the dirty reindeer piss martini. Very, very popular. You got queues right down the street, and it's becoming a real problem. There are so many hipsters in my part of town at the moment getting high and having astral plane experiences that sometimes when Arsenal, the local football club, are playing at home, there are so many disembodied spirits floating around on the astral plane. The police helicopter can't see through them to organize the crowd. It's getting to be a real problem. Anyway, so they opened on exactly the same day. And I'm thinking, is that coincidence or synchronicity? Which coincidence wearing a wizard's hat. Anyway, I've got to kind of backtrack now a little bit because, and I really am trying to keep a strict linear narrative in this, even though the latest theories of time suggest that time doesn't actually move in a straight line. But then again, you know, they may be really old theories of time that have only just surfaced. Point is, right, that I was born in London, but I moved up to Yorkshire in the north of England, coal mining area, when I was 7. And to give you some idea of what it's like, I mean, this is probably a very key way of understanding British culture. If you put 3 British people in a room, the 2 who live furthest north will immediately agree that the other one is a wanker. That is basically, which is like a jerk. I mean, basically, that's it. If you understand that about Britain, you understand the country. So when I moved up there, the age of 7, to a small town in the West Yorkshire coalfield called Pontefract. It's a twin town with Devil's Island. And to give you some idea, where it's like Picasso's painting Horrors of Guernica was originally called Saturday Night in Pontefract. Anyway, moved there at the age of 7, and I'll never forget. First day in the school playground, I swear, I'm standing there trying to make friends. Hello, my name's Nick and I'm from London. Well, why don't you fuck off back there, you fucking cockney twat. A harsh teacher. Wilson. The way I was accepted when I moved up there was that even though I had a posh southern accent, I was accepted because I was good at rugby, which, you know, is like American football, except we don't wear helmets and pads because we're It's not a competitive thing, but we can just, we don't need the pads anyway, because we're men, is what I'm basically saying. Anyway, so I got accepted because I was good at rugby. I could knock people down if they ran at me on a rugby pitch, no matter how big they were. And this got me respect, and to the extent, right, that I was able to pursue my other interests openly, which, and I'm going to use what is certainly a taboo word in a lot of comedy gigs in this country. My other interests were largely intellectual, and I could do this without fear of getting beaten up at school because I was good at rugby. For example, we might be in the changing room one night after a game. Well, we're going up to town for a pint tonight. Nick, are you coming with us? No, not tonight, lads. I normally would, obviously, but there's a Louise Buñuel double bill on BBC Two. So, and they say, all right, so fair enough, we'll see you next week. So I've got a long bit on fighting here, which I'm not going to do because, as I say, I want to get back to. So that's, oh, by the way, this is weird to me. A friend of mine gave me this sweater. It's the first time I'm wearing it because it's quite cold in my basement kitchen here. And orange and black, right, are the colours of the rugby league team that I most hate in the world, Castleford. I grew up playing rugby and supporting Featherstone Rovers, who play in blue and white, which is, much more aesthetically pleasing. But this is a very strange feeling for me to have a sweater of this colour. Rugby league, very, very important. So what happens with this? Those two hipster shamans, I know them because they drink in my pub, Toby and Matt, at my local pub, the Fox and Gynecologist, one of North London's few remaining traditional boozers. I mean, when my friends from Yorkshire come down, they can't. You're locked down here. We're sat in a pub. There's 18 different IPAs and no bitter. I mean, what's going on? World's standing on its head. You're locked down here in North London in your metropolitan liberal bubble. You know nothing about how the real world really works with your Guardian, and you're going online to source new ways to buy organic, cruelty-free sea salt and doing yoga every day so you can walk around comfortably with your head stuck up your ass. You know nothing about how the real world really works. And I go, you're right. Particle physics, relativity, it's all beyond me. But it's a kind of mixture. And my local boozer is a very friendly place. You've got people there who have been drinking in there, sort of local gangsters and teddy boys from the 50s who are still drinking in there. I don't know if you know the photographer Don McCullen. He was a great war photographer. Did that iconic picture of some poor GI in Hue, just completely shell-shocked. If you just think of that image, that'll be probably Don McCullen. He grew up in Finsbury Park, and he used to take pictures of these teddy boys in the early 50s when he first started working. Some of them still are alive and drink in my local boozer. And you've got all kinds of people mixed up in there. On Tuesday night, right, we always have a quiz night to raise money for a local charity. I don't know, to help millennials who are incapable of growing adequate facial hair, or improved barista ergonomics, which is a big campaign in North London, or gender neutral jukeboxes, all those kind of things we cover. Stab vests for creche workers. We cover the lot, right? And it's always a good night, Tuesday night. Anyway, this one Tuesday night, my friend Tim McInerney, the actor who you probably know from Notting Hill and all them kind of films, I've known him from university, so I've known him for ages. He comes in right to the quiz night, and he's got Gwyneth Paltrow in tow. And, we're used to having celebrities in the boozer, like Suggs, the lead singer from Madness, lives just across the road there. And RuPaul, the drag queen, he used to live just around the corner as well. So it's not like we're unused to having celebrities in there. But it's like Gwyneth, she's got this really judgmental stare on her, she's like making everybody feel existentially inauthentic. You can just feel it going through the whole pub. The barmaid's getting upset because her parents divorced when they had a row during the screening of Shakespeare in Love at the Holloway Odeon, which is built on the site of a Roman villa. But that's another story. Underground streams, lots of magic there. Anyway, somebody hasn't done their hair and they're thinking, oh God, Hollywood A-list. I'm thinking, I want to relax after a hard day's day's work in, and suddenly she's going to be kicking off, calling human rights organizations if the vodka's not certifiably gluten-free. You know, we've come into Anyway, so we're saying to Tim, what have you brought her for? And he says, look, I'm sorry, because he lives down in Holborn. It's only 4 stops on the Piccadilly line. Comes up. He said, what happened was I never meant to bring her. He says, I was coming up on the tube as usual. I'm sitting there, and just as the doors are sliding shut, she runs on and she literally bumps into him. And of course, she recognizes him from Blackadder. Turns out she's a big fan. So says, oh, can I tag along? Anyway, we're all thinking, well, this is going to be a real downer on the night. But it turns out she's actually all right. And this is what really turned me around on her, is that, yes, Hollywood A-lister and all that. But, right, in the quiz that night, there was a round on rugby league. And Gwyneth Paltrow got 8 out of 10 on the rugby league questions. So, I'm totally impressed. Anyway, so after the pub's closed, we always come round to my house, which, as Mike knows, is only 2 doors down from the boozer, and a few of us come down. There's my friend Pavel, who's from Czechoslovakia, Czech Republic. He came here in about 1990, and typical story of the East European emigre to Britain, at least pre-Brexit. He's got a doctorate from Charles University in Prague, right, in comparative literature. He comes here with all those qualifications. Best job he can get: assistant professor of literature at the University of North London. I mean, it's just wasted time. And then there's Sophie, who I like. Sophie, she's kind of, I don't know, sort of late 20s. She works in PR, blonde, went to St Andrews and did art history. For a long time, she worked as an influencer. When she was at university, she was working as an influencer, which I didn't really know what that was, but she was earning 30 grand a year being an influencer, which, as far as I can work out, to be an influencer, you have to be pretty and then go on the internet and point at what you're wearing. Anyway, so she's all right. I mean, and Tim's back there, and Gwyneth tags along because Gwyneth is very keen to see my collection of 1970s Featherstone Rovers programs. So we're going through that, and then she says, oh, you've got a dream catcher. Because I've got a real, genuine dream catcher. It was given to me years and years ago by an old hippie friend of mine who gave it to me as a present to make up for selling my stereo equipment for heroin when he was staying with me. It's a yin yang thing. And well, you all know about the dream catcher, made by Native American tribes. You've got this hoop of wood and something mimicking a spider's web. And the idea is that any sort of bad dreams or evil spirits floating around in the atmosphere, you would hang it over your baby's crib in the teepee or whatever, and it would collect all the evil spirits and bad vibes before they did any harm. And I always thought it would, it's a primitive way of keeping sort of community mental health, or I say primitive, but much more advanced than where the current British model is headed. A niche joke there, sorry, it probably doesn't cross the pond. But anyway, so I always thought they were, frankly, just a little bit of kitsch that looked nice hanging above my fireplace. Sorry, I should be upstairs, but my wife's in bed, and I'd be too loud, so I've got to be 2 floors down. I was going to do a joke about how I'd split up from my wife when we had a row about whether it was feasible to double D-pod early season broad beans without blanching them first, which I like, but once you get into that, into that kind of dispute, it's going to end in divorce, isn't it? But I can't. I'm married. Anyway, so so we're looking at the dream catcher, which I would show you. And Granny says, oh, you got a dream catcher? I say, yeah. She said, so do I. And I'm going, oh, no kidding. And then she says, tell me, how often do you get it cleaned? And I said, what? And she said, how often do you get your dream catcher maintained, cleaned and empty? What do you mean? She said, well, it's like a Hoover, I mean, all the bad dreams and evil spirits collect inside it. You have to get it emptied, or eventually it will burst. And, who knows what kind of psychic damage that could do to the entire area. And I said, all right, yeah. And she gave me a business card, and she said, here, take this. And she said, this guy is the best dream catcher repairman in the whole of London. I said, "Oh, right, that will be handy." This guy, apparently he's Navajo originally, and he was the bass player in Buffy St. Marie's backing band when they came here to tour on the back of Soldier Blue back in the early 70s. And he fell in love with Britain, with London in particular with Richmond Park, because he likes hunting deer. And there they are. Obviously, you didn't know that, but sorry. Anyway, and I said, well, I'll bear that in mind. She said, no, seriously, Nick, because if the dream, you and I, she said, probably have the only functioning, genuine dream catchers in North London. If anything happened to them, we're collecting up the psychic damage and threat to hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of people. It could all go horribly wrong. And of course, I didn't take it seriously. But in the end, it did go wrong. And what can I say? I'm running out of time, but I hope that's whetted your appetite for. I've got to leave it on that, really. I think, haven't I? I've got a short joke that I can end on. I'll tell you. I'll never forget my dad's last words to me. He said, "Put down that." I've got to do this in a northern accent for the sort of stoical granite emotion behind it. I'll never forget my dad's last words to me. He said, "Put down that toaster and help me get out of the bath." And I think it's a lesson for us all in that. I was a parent, but I gained a gag. And it's important to laugh, because you've got to look on the bright side, I mean, especially when you think that we're, I can't help thinking that life is just a brief, meaningless interlude between two infinite periods of nothingness. And, that can bring you down, really. So you just look on the bright side. So I'll finish on this traditional joke. Why did the chicken cross the road? To try and distract herself from the constant nagging knowledge that life is just a brief, meaningless interlude between two infinite periods of nothingness. And that death and the awareness of death surely in many ways renders all human endeavor and institutions ultimately meaningless and without value, unless we can summon the courage as we spin, stuck by the miracle of gravity to a small rock revolving itself around a dying star in an insignificant corner of an infinitely expanding universe, and embrace our smallness, which, because the infinite universe is infinitely expanding, means that we are infinitely smaller every nanosecond by nanosecond that we take breath. And if we can summon the courage to take the existential responsibility to stare back into the grinning, meaningless abyss of nothingness and laugh and create our own meaning on a dying planet. I think it was quite a thoughtful chicken. Thank you and good night. Don't forget to tip your waitresses.
Telling Nick, stop with the chicken jokes.
Nice job, Nick. Revell.
Or as Chuck would say, stop with the chicken jokes, you dumb fuck.
Does he know who Joanne Worley is?
I'm a little chicken to do that kind of humor. Mike,
look at this. Yes.
What a great show we had, huh? How about a nice round of applause for everybody? Jessica Misra was here, and Raghu Adibhatla, and Ned Rice, Jonathan Solomon, Stephen Young, and of course, Nick Revell. Give them all a nice round of applause.
Woo. Yay. What's that on your head? Another Kennedy Center Award?
Gosh, Mike, no, must be my cap. I graduated or passed my last class and have my bachelor's degree.
Yay!
I'm a scientist of bachelorhood, or else I got my BS in marketing. Either one will work. That was a very special episode, everybody. I really enjoyed it. One more time, if you could, for everybody who joined us. Great lineup of comedians. And stick around, gang. There's a little more entertainment. We want to make sure we say thanks for everybody who helped with Elevating Connections. Stacy, great story. Glad to know that the giving just continues. And For those of you who
Thank
are
you.
new, we'll walk you outside. Before you go, just one sweet parting gift, a little bit of comedy gold.
No,
And
get out of there. God damn it.
why not a salad? Why not a salad? Enjoy.
Every cooking show we try to thank the people, and in comes this guy.
Hey, you know, which he's got red onions in the salad today, which is something I requested, so I really appreciate that. Less tomatoes because of my gout, but either way, we'll walk you out the exit.
The red onions was the first comedian I ever saw live.
Right, and thanks for helping
Hilarious.
organize that charity, Mike. Everyone's gonna love doing the walk for gout. That is gonna raise us a lot of money. A great charity, not a long walk, is what you gotta know.
The
There,
slow, gingerly walk for gout.
More of a limp.
What we'll do is we'll walk everybody out through the neighborhood because it gets a little dicey. Once that
Oh my God.
paycheck protection program kicks in, the neighborhood might pick up a little bit, but other than that, there's various nightlife available. Lots of goods and services is what they would say in economics, and you feel free to take any deal that skates past you. And we'll see. What we're going to do is we have a sing-along for everybody. That's my ride is here. I should go. What we know is when we see the guy in gold, it's time to say goodbye to the kids on YouTube. You didn't buy a ticket, so you don't get to hang out for the sing-along. We have a sing-along at the end of the show. Mike has to lead the sing-along. He doesn't know the words or the tune. And YouTubers, you won't either, because it's time to say goodbye to you.